Hey there, and welcome back to What Do You Use For? Today, we are taking a look at fifth grade. This is a series where we are walking through each of the grade levels and subjects and kind of areas of homeschool, just with that question of what do you use for? It's something we homeschooling parents ask each other quite a bit. So, welcome. You will find a playlist with all of these videos right up here. Go ahead and check that out if you've got other areas that you're looking to get some guidance on and see what other people are using. That's my intention with these videos, is that you would just be able to be a fly on the wall, get a peek into somebody else's homeschool journey. I wish I had had that when we were starting out. It would have helped me, I don't know, see that there were other ways of doing things. So that's what we're going to work on today. Just a reminder, when we say fifth grade, grade is kind of a subjective term. It's kind of a set of standards that perhaps kids should be learning. These might be an 8, a 9, a 10, 11-year-old who are working on some of these topics. So you, just a reminder, are the expert in your kiddo's learning journey, and you're going to be the one to kind of pick and choose from these areas. So if you see something here and you're like, we need something a little more difficult, go check out that 6th grade video. If you want something a little bit lower, go to that 4th grade, 3rd grade video. There is no rule against mixing and matching curriculum from different grade levels when your kiddo needs the support there. So find what you need. That's what we're going to take on today. So are you ready? Let's get started. I'm really glad you're here. My name is Melissa, and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4, an online teacher, and I help other homeschooling parents get set up with profitable side hustles so that they can stay present in their home while also bringing in a little bit more income. Today, we're going to be breaking down our 5th graders' day in the life, the curriculum that we use, as well as kind of their schedule. Now, this is an interesting time in life, right? 5th graders can maybe still be snuggly. They want to hang out with you, but then also there's this like burgeoning independence. This is the tween stage, my friends. It has a name. Those 8 to 10-year-olds, they are right here. And they're starting to kind of become these independent individuals, and it's a beautiful process, but we do have to be ready to kind of loosen our grip on the control of their education, right? And so little by little, I want you to keep in mind as we go through these topics today, where can you kind of give them choice? Where can you allow them discovery? I'll point those out too. But let's go with our first order of the day. Usually our kiddos wake up and they do their Bible study. At 5th grade, they've got a notebook and a Bible with them. It's nothing fancy. They just read a chapter of the Bible that they're working on. Our 2 oldest girls are reading the same chapter, and then they're able to write down a question that they have, something they want to ask God, something they've learned, like a truth that they got from that, as well as something that they wonder about, and any prayer requests or things that they're worried about, they'll write down. So that's not an assignment or something, but I just want to give you a look that that's something that is starting in 4th and 5th grade for our family. Then we get up and they have oats. Now, I've shared this in every video so far, so here it is. It's just our recipe for overnight oats. I make these the night before, and actually our oldest daughter is actually starting to make these. So she'll prep these and put them in the fridge, and then in the morning, the kids just know to pop them in the microwave while they're working on math. A lot of times, actually, our older kids have finished math the night before. They just know that they'll have more free time if math is done. For math, we use Horizons from Alpha and Omega Publishers. So it's a spiraled curriculum where they're going to touch on a concept in a very basic way. The kid will get that and they'll move on to another topic in a basic way, and then they'll come back to that first topic in a more complex way. And it spirals like that, getting more and more complex. We love the conversational aspect of Horizons, where we can sit down and talk about these things. Obviously, as with all math books, some of the examples, the problems are really funny or cheesy, but it's fine. We can make some real world applications there, but we want them to be able to reason through, especially at this age. Their reading comprehension is likely there, and so they're able to really work through some of those word problems and see some real world applications here. So I love that about Horizons. Then we'll move into language arts. We've used The Good and the Beautiful from grade 1. And this is a curriculum where, especially in 5th grade, they are working with 2 books. There's kind of a grammar, writing, spelling book, as well as a course book, and then a few extra readers. I love that they're bringing in different cultures. There's geography, spelling, art appreciation, a little bit of history, along with all the reading and spelling that kind of goes into a normal language arts curriculum. So I think it's a really good value. We save money as a family with 4 kids by just buying the book once, and then I make copies of the pages that they need to write on. So keep that in mind if you've got multiple kids, but we love this curriculum. We'll get into writing. After language arts, again, I teach in the mornings and come downstairs. My husband works on math with the kids. I do language arts with them. So if you can picture me cycling through from couch to couch, chair to chair, where all the kids are kind of stationed, that's what this looks like. After language arts, we move into writing. Our 5th graders use these notebooks. They are linked below. They're full year writing warm-up journals. These journals are available in English, French, and Spanish, which is pretty cool because for a bilingual family like ours, I want our kids to be biliterate, meaning they can write and read in both languages, in English and Spanish in our case, and they're able to really understand the differences and think critically, linguistically about these 2 languages. And so when they've got the same prompt in English and Spanish, they're going to write the same thing, one thing in English over here, and they're going to try to write the same answer, but they're translating themselves. But, oh wait, where does the adjective go? Why do I need this punctuation mark in Spanish, but not in English? And so we're kind of indirectly teaching grammar, which I love. I studied linguistics and that's kind of my jam. If that's not your jam, then these are really easy to just print out and be like, hey kiddos, we're going to do English right now and Spanish later, or do them both simultaneously. Your choice. But it's kind of a low anxiety space and a really good tool to teach grammar across languages without bringing in extra books. Our 5th grader, we really start this in 4th grade, but our 5th grader will move on to a book study. I love Newberry books. These are some of the classes that I teach my students online, but here are some of the books that we love, and we've found book studies on Teachers Pay Teachers. I have a few book studies that I've created, so they're out there. Everything is going to be linked below, but go ahead and check out some of these that sound interesting to you, and I've got a note about unit studies where you can beautifully weave these book studies and history or science together. It's amazing when it works. Here are a few that we love in particular. A Wrinkle in Time, classic. Holes, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, The Wanderer, Harry Potter. The nuance in this is a literary feast. And at this age, they can really start to break that down. So don't discount Harry Potter. There are great book studies for that. Bud Not Buddy, Island of the Blue Dolphins, One Crazy Summer, The Tiger Rising, We Dream of Space, The War That Saved My Life, and the sequel, The War I Finally Won, and When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit. Now, you may be able to tell from some of these names that these are, some of them, set in the past. They're historical fiction. So here's what I love to do. I use the Newbery Honor List to choose some of these books. That's a great place to start. That's also linked below. So here's how we view some of these. Bud Not Buddy is great for the Great Depression. We're looking at causes of the Great Depression, time period, what's going on culturally in the United States and abroad as Europe is starting to kind of realize something is off in Germany. Island of the Blue Dolphins, a really great one, an interesting historical book and period and place that's not often shown in kids' literature. 1800s Native Americans on islands in off the coast of California. So really interesting trade between cultures. One Crazy Summer. This is set during the Civil Rights Movement. We see the Black Panthers. They're out in Oakland, California. A really cool look from a kid's perspective. We Dream of Space. Again, the Challenger mission in the 1980s. This is again set from a kid's perspective, where they're learning about this and all that happens with that mission. The War That Saved My Life and The War I Finally Won, and When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit. Those are all great for World War II. It's hard to find World War II books that are palatable maybe for kids, and at this age they're touching on things like rationing, things like disability, things like religion and race, and all of that comes into play there. So I won't get too much away, but those are really good books for kind of bringing in unit studies as well. After all of that, we've gone so far gone through math, language arts, writing, book studies, and Bible study, and breakfast. Hopefully we've brushed our teeth by now, gotten dressed, made our beds, that sort of thing. Then throughout the morning, they'll also hop on the computer. We've got one computer for our 4 kids. We've got our bookmark bar on our Google Chrome tab with all their links already there. There's no time wasted meandering on the internet. Be careful there. So on the computer, they will work on some French games and really short videos. Think of this as like PBS, but in French. It's called TV Monde, and it's got lots of interesting, fun, educational, science experiment type shows. So again, kind of like PBS, but in French, that our kids love. They know they can watch 2 videos there, or they just set a timer for 10 minutes on our kid phone, so that they are limiting themselves. Then we've got reading on Freckle. Freckle is a free platform that you can create a class for your kids as a teacher, and you can assign them things, or you can just have them do some math facts and read in the library and kind of take quizzes, kind of like accelerated reader style. So that's on there. Then reading A to Z, some of our kids prefer reading A to Z over Freckle, and some vice versa. They prefer Freckle over A to Z. But again, the idea is similar. They are taking quizzes on what they've read. Then some of our kids have had some gaps in math, or they just need a little bit more fact practice on a certain math concept. So we'll do extramath.org. Again, free math practice, gamified. It's kind of fun. They'll also hop onto Epic. Again, all of this is very fluid. A lot of times Epic will happen in the afternoon for our older kids, but sometimes it does happen in the morning if they've got extra time. We created a school for homeschool, and we can access the Epic library for free during school hours. That ends at about 3 p.m. Eastern. We also love Libby, which is a free app that connects to your public library card. My favorite thing about Libby is the amount of audiobooks that are available. We often will have the physical book in our house, or maybe they're reading the book, the ebook, on a screen on the phone and listening to the audiobook on the computer. I don't know, 2 devices. It's a lot of devices to manage, but if you can get both of them happening at the same time, it's gold. This has been a game changer for some of our more reluctant readers. And it's actually really helped their spelling too, because they're hearing a word pronounced and seeing it in their book written out. So don't discount audiobooks. Audiobooks count. That's reading. There is also some time for piano in the morning. We love Hoffman Academy. Their premium membership includes really fun games with music theory, printable workbooks, sight reading, as well as their free YouTube videos. So again, a really good option. It's a little pricey, but we did that for 1 year, and we were really happy with how that worked out for our kids. After that, our 5th grader can choose to help cook lunch, which our older kids have loved doing so far. Sometimes they'll take a whole meal themselves and cook it. If they've got a plan, they want to do something, they're motivated, that's great. If they want to help with the side dish, that's great. If they want to make dessert, that's fine. Or they just go play outside with their siblings, go play basketball, go play soccer, go draw with chalk. Again, this is that kind of in-between age where they really do need play, but they also sometimes want to kind of level up and be a little bit more mature in some other things. During lunch as a family, we'll read one of these Louis Giglio devotionals. They are based on science facts. So sometimes we'll have questions about zoology, botany, anatomy, geology, and kids will be asking questions, which we love. Sometimes I'm just not the best source of answers for those questions, so I'll assign them a Nearpod lesson or a vocabulary video. I'll link how we use those here. They are fantastic tools to use, and it's really easy to just throw a link in a Google Doc. We use a Google Doc for each of our kids to have their links kind of live there, so they can easily access them. And again, they're not clicking around the internet, and they can learn more on their own at their own pace. Kind of a fun way for them to discover and kind of hand over the control to them a little bit more. After lunch, they'll take turns cleaning off the counter. So we'll alternate with our 2 big kids who are at counter height. They take turns clearing off the counter and sweeping, and then we'll move on to any unfinished work from the morning. Sometimes there's something to read or something to write that they just didn't get to in the morning. Often this will involve crafts. There'll be some hammocking. Maybe they'll finish reading on Epic, and then we'll have French class. Twice a week, our kiddos have French. with a teacher on Preply. I love Preply that it's a language learning marketplace. So any language you want to learn, it's probably on there. You choose your price point. For the last 4 years, we've been taking class on there. We've had a few different teachers, just for life circumstances, they've moved on or we found somebody else. But I'll include a link here for 70% off of your first Preply lesson. It's a really good option for homeschool families, especially. For our family, our 3 older kids are taking 30 minutes twice a week in a one-on-one setup with our French teacher. So I'll just block 90 minutes twice a week with this teacher. And then afterward, they'll have homework to complete in their shared Google Doc with their teacher. So it's kind of nice, speaking, listening, reading, and writing in that Google Doc later. After French, it's off to sports. Right now, for us, that's karate. We usually go 3 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week if we're preparing for something. That is kind of close walking distance to us, so it's a nice thing to do. And I get a rest. I can, sit down and read a book, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast. A good break for everybody. After that, they'll come home, we'll eat dinner, we'll do another round of music, this time usually including ukulele or guitar. They'll do that with a YouTube kind of play along video, songs that they want to know, Pirates of the Caribbean or the Harry Potter theme or a hymn or something like that. So they'll look those up and do those on their own. We'll read the Bible in Spanish. Again, that chapter that they read in the morning, they'll read in Spanish, as well as a proverb. If you're not familiar, the book of Proverbs in the Bible has 31 chapters, which lines up really nicely with the days of the month. So if today is the 15th, they're going to read Proverbs 15. Kind of easy to manage, kind of giving that control and ownership back to them. So they'll read that in Spanish. Our 5th grader will then, wrap up their day. We'll go pray as a family, read the Bible in English together one more time, and head to bed. So this is our 5th grader's day. It is packed and it's also really fun, and there's also breathing room. So I feel like there's a lot to kind of play with. Again, our days look different 2 years ago. They'll probably look different 6 months from now, who knows? But I would love to hear what you've done for 5th grade, what's worked, maybe what hasn't worked, what your questions are. Leave them in the comments. That would be really fun to hear from you guys. And if nobody's told you yet today, thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It's really important. And happy teaching.